Hi everyone, my name's Colin. I manage the Dogs Around Farm with my wife Katie here on Treaty 1 territory at Clearwater, Manitoba. Today I'm going to take you on a little bit of a tour. It's the beginning of December and we got a few things going on. It's not nearly as exciting as midsummer, but we'll show you around. One coop, two coop. This is our chicken coop. We keep about 100 hens. This is the most we've ever had, and next year we plan to expand even more. So they spend the winter in here. In the summer we've got an eggmobile that they're out on pasture in. We'll show you that later. This part here is a sun porch that's 6 mil poly on top, so it gets pretty warm in there when the sun's shining. And then this is the main coop here, and it's pretty noisy in here, so I'm not going to do too much talking. You get the idea. Nest boxes. There's lots of roosting space. Hey lady. And then the runs out here. They get fed out here. Nest boxes have a little magnet here so we can close them in at night so they don't poop in their nest boxes. Pretty handy. That's about it. So this is our garden. It's kind of a little hard to see, but we have a no-till garden with raised beds. It's mostly for personal production, but we've been ramping up our garlic production, which we're pretty excited about. Not a lot to explain. We mulched the paths with wood chips this year, and we put a lot of mulch on the beds and leave the beds covered mostly to retain moisture. We don't have great well water, so we're kind of relying on rains a lot of the time. We did install a rainwater system this year, but it's kind of not enough to water the garden consistently. But the mulch seems to do a pretty good job. This is our flurd right now, mix of flock and herd. This is our group of rams. So we have one mature ram and then 5 ram lambs here, which we saved from this year's lamb crop. These are Dorper. They're a hare breed. You'll get to see the rest of the flock later. This is our horsey, Andromeda. She's very sweet. She's not very good for anything but snuggles, but she's young and we do hope to train her. And then these are our mini donkeys. We got them originally as guard animals for the sheep. Now they're kind of more just companion animals for us and the horse. Hey sweetie. So this is the turkey lurkey. This is our all-in-one turkey brooding and range shelter. So it's got a person door there, and then it's got these panels on the side which are removable. So when brooding we put the panels up there, they're insulated, and the interior is insulated as well. And then we put plywood down for the floor and we can brood in here. It stays pretty nice and warm, and then as the turkeys mature we remove the floor and the panels and they use the joists as roosts, and we move it around the pasture following some of the other animals to distribute the nutrients properly. And it's surrounded with poultry netting. It's probably a little overbuilt, but it works good and we want it to last a while. And we'll see how, if things don't go well with the turkeys, we can kind of convert it into another egg mobile. the Eggmobile. So our laying hens go in here during the spring, summer, fall, and we're going to have this out on pasture following our animals, hoping to mainly have them behind the pigs this year to spread out their manure and eat some of the fly maggots. We've had really bad flies in the spring and fall and wondering if it's from the pig manure, so hoping that this will help a little bit. So inside, taken the nest boxes out to put in their winter shelter, where they go here and here, and then there's lots of roost space. There's enough roost space in here for 120 to 150 birds, and then slided floor here under the roosts, 1-inch hardware cloth helps the droppings flow through, and then we surround it with this poultry netting and move it every few days. These are our pigs eating their breakfast right now. They're a mix of Hereford, Tamworth, Berkshire, Duroc, large black, possibly other things in there. These were all born in May this year, and they're getting close to finished weight. We just took our first group into the butcher this month. They're eating their breakfast of oats and barley and peas. And they've got about 2 acres here, which in the summer we divide into smaller paddocks and rotate them around through annual cover crops. We've had varying degrees of success. We get a good catch when we first sow it in, but as they move through and we try to sow it again, it's a little dependent on rain, which hasn't been great the last few summers. We also have some weed competition that's kind of all ragweed that you see growing there, and that kind of drowns out some of the cover crop, but they like it for the shade, and they'll eat the leaves off it too. So it's not the worst thing, but we're still working on it. Hi, Cooper. So this is kind of the center of our yard, center of operations. It's the house over there. Greenery we moved in. Truck and trailer. These are little brooders for the turkey poults and chicks. Bin for chicken feed in there currently. Hay and straw storage. Tractor, other bins. And some of our pasture out there. This is our lane. This year we put in this water retention project through the watershed district. They came and in about 2 days. It's hard to see probably the definition here, but it dips down quite a bit here. And yeah, it's hopefully going to catch the spring runoff. And it'll flow to whatever level we put these boards at. So we're thinking kind of to the top of this metal piece here. And that'll give us kind of 4 feet of water. We'll have a bit of a pond and wetland, which we'll use to water livestock and kind of just create more biodiversity on the farm. It'll also give us some options on the downstream side for watering maybe some fruit trees, and we're thinking about, although they haven't been super successful for us, the shiitake logs, if we put them down in the forest there, we could potentially water them from the downspout here. Hello, Mati. This is our guard dog, Bergamot, or Mati. She's like Bash. She lives out with the sheep. Come on, Cooper. This is part of morning chores for both of them. I bring them out to play. This is a shade mobile I built this summer for the sheep. So we've got a shade tarp that goes on the top here. I took it off for winter so the snow doesn't tear it. We can move this around. Our pasture is pretty wide open, so they don't have any shade. So we move this when we move the sheep, which is generally every 3 or 4 days. We strip graze. We've got multiple parallel fences, and then we section it off into, I think they'd be about half-acre paddocks, and rotationally graze, planned graze, managed graze throughout the summer. This was cultivated land when we moved here, and we rent it off of our friend Joe, and we sowed it down to a perennial mix of grasses and legumes. It's mostly orchard grass and alfalfa, but there's some brome, some vetch, clover, chicory. We put plantain in, but it hasn't really showed up after the first year. There's some of the sheep. Right now they're kind of grazing and being supplemented with hay that we're rolling out. Rolling out the bales on the pasture helps keep the nutrients where they're supposed to be rather than feeding them in a feedlot and then having to redistribute the manure for the next season. So we roll it out, helps feed the soil. So this year we put in a pasture pipeline. So it's hooked into a water source back at the yard, a hydrant. And then it's buried about 18 inches below the ground. And it comes to these risers here, which we can just flip the tops up and put a hose into there. And then have water for our animals when they're out on pasture. So we have to drain it every year so that it doesn't freeze in the ground, but it's been really handy this year, and it goes out down the center of our pasture, and then we can just run hoses off wherever we need them, wherever the sheep are that day. And we're going to be able to use that for the pasture poultry as well. Yeah, they're a hair breed, so they don't require shearing. We do it sometimes just to keep them clean. You can see she's got a bit of wool on her back still. And right now it is December 7th, and so in about 2 weeks we'll put the rams in. We'll split this group into 2 different breeding groups. The mature ram will go with the commercial ewes, and then he'll go with the pureblood ewes, and then the commercial ones will go with the ram lambs. And yeah, we're hoping to do some breeding stock. Mainly we market direct to consumers, frozen, cut and wrapped lamb, but we're trying to get into maybe some breeding stock as well. So I think that about sums up the tour. I'll probably put together a bit of a slideshow to show the farm off in greener times. But that's basically it. We're open to any questions you have, any suggestions. We're both first generation farmers, so we're kind of learning as we go. Certainly don't have everything figured out, but we're really proud of where we've got to so far. Yeah, and excited to be part of this community, and really looking forward to, I don't know, the future of local food in Manitoba. So thanks a lot.